Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the room. We're really excited for this session today. We are talking about resilience. So this is session 6. It's the last of our leadership session. And we're really excited because we're in New Orleans at National Convention.
Gotta love it.
Isn't that great?
Gotta love it.
Not a better place to be than in New Orleans. So I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves and then we'll get started.
My name is Maddie Garretts, and I am a senior at Carroll College, which is in Helena, Montana, and I am here at the conference representing the Frontier Conference, and I'm just really excited to be here in New Orleans and get to spend some time with these guys up here. So,
Hey guys, it's me, Mikey. I'm one of the athletes from the Special Olympics, and I'm also in college at Delgado.
Thank you. Hi, and my name is Lexi O'Brien. I am with Special Olympics North America. I'm on the university engagement team, and in my role, I work with all Special Olympics state program staff around the country on anything university engagement related. Prior to this, I was at Special Olympics Iowa, where I would work directly with colleges and universities, getting them connected to Special Olympics and, playing unified sports and connecting people with and without intellectual disabilities. And a little bit about Special Olympics and why we are here. In 2018, NAIA and Special Olympics formed a partnership. And with that partnership, it's to connect people over, of course, a common interest, which is sports. So we're very excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Great. Well, we are thrilled to have all of you here, especially for this conversation on resilience. But before we jump into the conversation, let's talk about all of the sessions that we've done that's led up to this. So we started with lead. So who are you as a leader? We talked about humility and authenticity and how we show up. We talked about engagement, how we communicate, how we build relationships with each other. We had a session on acceptance. So how do we build psychological safety? How do we create a culture of inclusivity? It was such a great session. Then we moved into develop. So how do we develop strong teams? How do we work together? How do we go for a common goal and a win-win? And then the session right before this that we did was efficiency. So how do we get things done? How do we goal set? How do we manage our priorities? What do we do? And so today, we're going to talk about resilience. And resilience, we're going to talk about curiosity. We're going to talk about agility and self-management. We're going to talk about optimism and open-mindedness, self-confidence, stress management, and coping. So we're excited to have this conversation today. So let's just jump right in. As we're talking about resilience, this is so important for all of us, especially for all of you student athletes, because we know the best laid plan doesn't always go the way we thought it would. And so being able to pick ourselves up and move ourselves along, even when it didn't happen the way we wanted it to. So before we jump into the panel, we're going to have the audience do a quick poll for us. So you all pull out your phones and you have your Mentimeter. How would you rate your level of resilience? 4 of you are fantastic. Ooh, it's going up. Fantastic is going up. I love it. So we have 5 at fantastic, 6 at pretty good, couple that need a little help in resilience. Awesome. Great. I love it. So let's ask the panel. So Lexi, you have the microphone. Let's start with you. How would you rate your own resilience? What do you think about when you think about resilience?
I think looking at that scale, I think I would need 2 categories. One for maybe how I come off and one for how I internally feel, because I think I present myself like I'm good, I've got it, but maybe internally I'm like, oh, I have no idea what's going on. But resilience, I think it also doesn't come without adversity. And if you're facing resilience, there was something that happened before it. And, connecting it to Special Olympics and the work that we do, there's no Special Olympics athlete out there or even student athlete out there at all that has not faced some sort of adversity. So I think that's an important consideration when thinking about resiliency.
Perfect. Mikey, what do you think about when you think about resilience?
I'm very resilient, but I do have room to improve. Like, I'm gonna give an example. Like, last week I had an athlete that was aggravated and it's like and kind of upset and it's like, hey, let's try to help out, and I'm trying to motivate him to like be positive and just like, let's do this, don't do but he's trying to get me into in a place is like I'm aware about. But overall I am very resilient, but also I do have some things that I have to improve on.
Great, thank you.
When it comes to my resiliency, I think it's hard because as student athletes, we all know we're juggling a lot. And so being able to be resilient, if you're coming straight to practice from class and you just might have flunked a test or something, being able to move on quickly and be resilient from that. I think we all have our own unique experiences that have built resiliency within us, but it's easy to be resilient when things are going your way, but you can kind of go back when things aren't going your way and really work on your skills then. I think that shows where you're at as far as your resiliency. I think kind of like Mikey said, I have a lot of room to improve on, but I feel like I have a pretty good foundation. So
I love it. That is perfect. Well, and when we talk about resiliency, an important component of this is curiosity and growth. When we fail a test, we hope not. When something happens that goes against the day we had planned, how do we come up with different ideas and move past that? So Lexi, I want to talk to you a little bit about curiosity. Curiosity helps us learn and grow. When you think about curiosity, how do you see that impact your work?
I think internally, I'm a very curious person. Anyone I work with, anyone I grew up with, played sports with, I was a gymnast growing up. Anyone I was around has always known this about me, and any of my coworkers know that I'm a big fan of shameless questions. And I kind of say like a shameless question is like asking someone something that I should probably know or something that I feel like I should know. Big fan of that. But I think in the context of my work and working with Special Olympics, and just for some background information too, when I say Special Olympics athletes, I'm referring to someone who has an intellectual disability. And if I am to say like partner, unified partner, that is a person without the intellectual disability. But I think curiosity in the context of bringing together people with and without intellectual disabilities, it takes a degree of curiosity and openness for people without intellectual disabilities to see maybe where they were wrong and learn and grow from that. Because I could almost 100% guarantee that any unified partner or someone without a disability, if they are to play unified sports with our athletes, if they are to coach, if they are to volunteer, that will change. And I would guarantee that it would be a much more positive perception at the end of the day.
Yeah. Abby, got a question for you.
alrighty.
Agility allows us to flex and adapt, especially when things don't go our way. How do you use agility in the classroom and also on the basketball court?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with resiliency. Being in the classroom as we're gaining new information, and like you talked about with different information, with being curious, I think you have to be able to quickly make connections with any of your prior knowledge. So just building on your knowledge base in the classroom. And then with basketball, you've got to be willing to make changes and be able to make those changes really quickly. Our coaches are kind of notorious for throwing things at us that they swear we went over in practice, but most of the time we haven't. And so being able to jump into a 30-second timeout and completely change your game plan, you've got to be able to adapt to that quickly and easily. Otherwise, you aren't going to be able to be out on the court, and that's where you want to be. So just being agile in all areas of your life, I think really kind of helps you when things don't go your way or when you need to be a little more resilient than normal.
Love it. I'm going to throw a little softball at you, maybe.
I'll see
Hopefully.
if I can understand.
Okay. Not my sport, but I'll go with
I'll
it. Try. And I can only imagine when you game plan for an opponent, and then all of a sudden in the third, I've never played basketball, as you can tell, as I'm talking about softball and all of this. But I mean, how do you take a deep breath and okay, let's go? How do you do that?
I think it just, I think you don't really have a choice a lot of the times. Our our coach is great, and she really builds a lot of confidence, which I know we're going to go into a little later. But just knowing that you've done this before and that you have someone who believes in you, and knowing that you wouldn't be in this situation if you weren't able to handle it. So just trusting that you're prepared for this and that you can handle this is really important to me, at least.
I love that. That is perfect. All right, Mikey, I've got a question for you. Self-management is how we manage our emotions and behaviors in a productive way. As you're preparing to compete in your sport, how do you manage yourself?
Let's say I use it to address my anger, and I also use music and positivity to focus on my sports and training. And self-motivations also keep it also a way to manage myself, but also a positive language that helps manage yourself. And as again, it's like I was like earlier, I was like getting frustrated with the athlete, and it's like, you know what? Let's run together. Because what my mom always says, like, if you have any issues, put it in the pool or put it in the track, because she used to be a softball coach. And yeah.
I love that. That's such a good answer. And we all get frustrated and we all get angry. And so how we manage that and control that is so powerful. So I love your answers.